Great summer foliage plants. They add texture, they can add color, and they have some serious staying power, even in this heat when your flowers and maybe you are flagging a little bit. We're going to give you our 6 favorites. And the 7th, it's the favorite great foliage plant chosen from our listeners. I'm Leslie Harris. She's Marianne Willburn, and you are listening to The Garden Mixer.
A foliage, and I am really thrilled to get listeners involved in our choices and to find actually that they had a lot of the same choices that we did, plus added a few more. So that's pretty cool. So we're not going to overwhelm you today, listeners. We're going to just pick 6 of our favorites, 3 and 3. It's going to be good. Yeah. And so much more else like grammar to get to later in the episode.
Damn, I wish I planted that. It's almost like my damn, I wish I planted that plant, and yours, I believe, if I remember correctly, additional great foliage just by happenstance.
Actually, good point. Right? Yeah, so you actually get 8 for the price of 6. Actually, you get 9 for the price of 6. So I would keep listening if I were you. I mean, I might not put everything in the notes. Who knows?
And hang on to the end, because that section is way at the end. Way at the end after you've fallen asleep.
It's
we'll wake you up.
Way at the end. So we have got a hell of a clear up corner this week, and not because we've just been messing up left, and center. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we just got a lot of fun little bits. And our notes, I mean, I've got to get my glasses out here and look at this. But starting with the best one, which is you had to look up FFS this week. And I'll wait for just a moment while the rest of our listeners go and look up FFS.
FFS. Let me give you a hint. It was in an Instagram post that I made where I'm strimming. I'm indicating how to use a strimmer sideways in order to edge. And apparently I have overlooked some health and safety issues are there for listeners to comment on. And one of them was FFS. Now, do you get it, listeners? They're like, what? Right. Where are your safety goggles? I was wearing them. I think they had trouble with my lack of, I think I was wearing flip-flops.
Appropriate footwear. I think you were wearing thongs, actually. You weren't wearing a thong, thank you, but you were wearing thongs.
G-rated here. Yeah. And the, where's your safety gear, FFS? I'm like, where indeed? What does FFS mean? Well, now we all know. I think you can.
One of us.
I think our listeners.
I find it interesting, that people will, and that was actually Charlotte Howard, who's a designer and an activist in
smarter
UK.
than I am.
And and the funny story behind that, listeners, is that Kathy Purdy actually asked us, will you show us how to strim, how to edge with your strimmer? And because I am so, punctilious, I often, I just get the strimmer out. I start doing it. I never wear sandals. I will say that, but I'm not wearing necessarily my welly boots. I'm not wearing my safety goggles. I just use my glasses, and I'm just, I'm a gardener who's trying to get a job done. And at least I don't have a chainsaw in my hand. And so I say to Leslie, I'm going out of town. Can you do this for Kathy, please? And she says, sure, I will. And the next thing you know, it's there. I'm like, well, I could have done that in my sandals.
I didn't know that was one of the prerequisites, that you had to have proper footwear on.
To answer you fully, Kathy, because Leslie was rotating the head of her strimmer in order to do that, because she has a very fancy strimmer. I do not. I turn mine completely upside down. So I'm actually holding it so that the little jigger thing, the trigger, is on the top instead of the bottom. And I'm holding it to do mine, because mine is not that fancy. So you can do it that way, or you can not do it and just use an edger and be much more safe. But it's fast. It's got to be said. So thank you so much, Charlotte Howard, for letting Leslie know.
For improving my vocabulary. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. While we are talking about listeners and show notes, I wanted to say, make sure you check those show notes, because the random links at the bottom are often fun things that we might have just said in passing. I don't think I'm going to spell out the acronym of FFS on there, but we will have fun things like, Saturday Night Live's cowbell sketch, because we talked about more cowbell. But then we'll also have Richard Hockey from Chicago Botanic Garden giving a beautiful treatise on on millennia for Fine Gardening magazine, and you're not going to find a more knowledgeable man than Richard. So definitely go down all the way and listen to the episode and read those notes.
Just in case you're new to us, where are they? They are on Substack, The Garden Mixer on Substack. Here's a silly little one. Let's just get this off the list. We mentioned a salix, which is has variegated foliage. Neither of us could come up with the Japanese name. It is Salix integra Hakuro nishiki. It's that really cool willow that I had in my old garden, formed to a beautiful lollipop I just got in my new garden to take the place of that horrible Chasmanthus, that seedy, weedy sea oats thing. A grass.
Chasmanthium? You replaced the chasmanthium with the shrub? Like we're talking about something that could get to be 15 feet across and tall, and you replaced.
I have different ideas.
Which is a 2.5 foot grass.
Control in the garden. Right now, my salix is about 2.5 feet tall, and it's a good substitute. I will let it grow tall, but not taller than me. That's my rule of thumb. I have to be able to reach.
It's going to obviously experience a little bit of bondage and or sadism.
What's another one? Good. Oh, you want to talk to us about Cosmo and Cabaret?
Yeah, Miss Canthus. So our last episode was all about grasses. One of my favorites and was one of my top 5 is Cosmopolitan Miscanthus, and it is a white. Overall, it is a white grass with a green center. It has marginated edges. Well, I went down to take a photo of it after rubbishing Cabaret, which is pretty much just the opposite of Cosmopolitan. And I'm taking a photo of it, and I think, hang on a minute, those margins aren't white, they're green. How can I possibly be going Cabaret? I brought this from my other garden. I know that it's Cosmopolitan, it always has been. I go back to the pictures of my Brunswick garden, and yes, it was definitely white marginated then. So I go to one of the best sources, Plant Delights, and I emailed Tony Avent, who is the owner, along with his wife, Anita, and said, Tony, what's the deal with this Cosmopolitan Cabaret thing? And he told me that they are extremely, what's the word, unstable. You know, like a great majority of the population sometimes.
Like me.
we're all unstable. You know, they're both streaked, just in a slightly different way, but they can revert and change. And I knew that they could revert to green, but the changing I wasn't used to. So the good news is I'm still in love with mine, even though it's technically sort of looking more like Cabaret, and it would not be a named cultivar anyway, because it's reverted to something who knows what. But I'm loving it, and it's fun.
All right. Very good. Very good. And the next one is so boring. I'll say it in one sentence. We said Stipa gigantica, which is a fabulous plant that doesn't grow well for us. Wait, I'm going on to more than one sentence. Back up. Stipa gigantica is actually Stipa gigantea. Moving on.
And it's actually stiped.
That is something that we'll be discussing in our next One More Sip, which is botanical pronunciation. And there are options.
There are options, people, and we're gonna talk about them. And actually, I was down in North Carolina this last couple of weeks, and I went into a nursery and asked for. All right, I'm going to spell this out for you, listeners. You tell me how you pronounce it. Andropogon. Okay. Now, I said, do you have any Andropogon Blackhawks? And this very knowledgeable lady looked back at me and said, yes, I think we've got some Andropogon in the back. And I went, oh, that's interesting. And it made me think about Schizachyrium and Schizocarum and all of that. And it made us think we need to do botanical names. We need to talk about botanical names and pronunciation, because I actually was not humbled, or I'm never humbled. It's like
it's not within your nature.
Can we cut that? I mean, I am humbled. I'm constantly humbled. I mean, I was not upset by the fact she corrected me. It's like a 3-year-old going up and saying ice cream, and you say ice cream, and you try and, get them to, you change it. I mean, she wasn't talking to me like that.
My dear, is that there's a trust that the adult is correct in the pronunciation of the word cream. I don't pronounce that word that way, and I wouldn't have trusted that that's correct. I think there are options.
Well, there are options. All right. Well, so we'll just hash that out in One More Sip. So if you're not a paid subscriber yet, and you don't get the One More Sip podcast, which is every other Friday, it's only 20 minutes. It's fun. It's fully paid subscriber sponsored, and we hit one topic and have a lot of fun with it. You probably are getting the emails if you are a subscriber on Substack. I hope you are, and it's just giving you a little teaser of it. But do join us, join the mix. And we have some new subscribers since last time. We have Stephen Telshow, Renee Palmer, Katie Munoz, Dee, and Corinna, who wish to remain anonymous in case anybody knows that they listen to the Garden Mixer, I guess. Thank you guys for subscribing. But we have 2 new founding mixers, which is really
Oh,
exciting. That's
that's
Jenny Price
big.
Nelson and
Thank you,
Elizabeth
Jenny.
Hayes. So
Oh,
thank
thank
you
you,
so
Liz.
much.
That's Liz
Oh, is a
Hayes.
friend of yours?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Oh.
she lives up in the Arlington area, and she's such a nice lady and a fabulous gardener. She's the one, I think I mentioned her before. She has a fabulous garden. It has a Houtonia presence and problem. She's like,
Houtonia cordata.
yeah. So other than
Yes,
that, she's
she has an
perfect.
issue.
She
Yes,
has.
and we know Jenny. We just met her again virtually because she's coming to Cornwall with us in 3 or 4 short weeks. We're gonna have a good old time.
Yeah, we are.
So thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. All right, have we gotten through this ridiculous list? Oh no, I have a note here that says, "Ask me about my polon." Oh God, I hate this word. Polum.
You can do it.
Polemonium is behind the curtain, Hamlet. Polemonium. Ask me about my polemonium. Yes, Leslie, what's going on with your polemonium? That was not an awkward segue in any way.
It's DED. And that's 0 for 4. So I'm never getting it again, ever. Polemonium is Jacob's ladder, and I complained that I couldn't grow it in my last garden. And I gave great hopes to this new one that was looking good for approximately 3 months until I found it in a brown ashen heap last week. And it's still 12 inches tall and brown and crispy. So that doesn't speak dormancy to me, especially since it's
got to die back.
July.
All right, let's revisit this in the spring, shall we?
Okay.
And if it doesn't come back, put your little bamboo stake behind it. Mark where it's supposed to be.
Never buying you again, polemonium behind the curtain. We have some comments on our grasses from last time. I would like to read the first one from our friend Mary Lou. She says, Stipa. I'm saying Stipa. I don't know what you would say, Mary Lou. Tenuissima is my first love, and it is a place where I see it dancing daily. I've only recently begun to divide and multiply it. It's the right size and contrast for much of the rest of my beds. I tried Muhlenbergia capillaris. However, it might have been in the wrong place, and it didn't make it. This has been my experience, too. I will try it again at some point. Good luck. I hope you do better with that than I did with polemonium.
Yeah, right. And she has some serious guilt with morning light as well. So I am absolving you, Mary Lou, of your guilt right now. Okay. On YouTube, you can see me absolving you.
And she's also in year 2 of the Spirabolus heterolepsis, and they're beginning to fill in nicely. Thank you, Mary Lou.
Yes. And the Muhlenbergia, Mary Lou, you might want to try that one I was talking about, Undaunted. The rubber conii. Rubber conii.
I think it's
again, let's tune into that one more sip. Me too.
Mm-hmm. Pronunciation.
Yeah.
All right. You read the one from Ann Berquist, because that is cool.
Yeah. So her favorite grass was Carl Forster. And I love the fact that she said the Calamagrostis. And she said, but I guess everyone loves it, given how often she sees it in landscapes. And she's right. I mean, it's a terrific grass. She also loves purple fountain grass for its fabulous color and magnificent arching spikes of nodding flowers. And she's wondering why they can't come up with one that's a perennial. And the answer is, well, it is a perennial. You just have to be in zone 10.
Move.
So you just need to move. Really good point to get out there to newer gardeners. They see these beautiful purple arching for a container grass. It's a pennisetum. It looks like it should be hardy. There's nothing about it that looks tender. And you grow it and it dies and you think, oh, I did something wrong. You didn't. It's just a temperennial. So yes, I'm with you, Anne. I think we need a perennial version of that for at least zone 6, if not higher. Speaking of zone 6 and higher, is Erin Shannon, who said to us when Leslie said, do you know when you just turn a wine bottle over? Do you ever do that?
Down.
And Erin,
do you ever turn a wine bottle upside down? Erin bit. She's like,
yeah, Erin bit. She said, yeah, pretty much every other night.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Erin,
she's good.
Yeah,
the impatient gardener.
Doing better than I am.
Speaking of cocktails,
hashtag Betty Ford. Okay.
Look what I'm doing. I have a chilled martini glass.
Oh, wait, are you going to pour the ice out?
I'm making the ice go away.
Are you straining it through the ice?
No, I've already strained it. It's all done.
Leslie's already messed up.
The cocktail in a chilled glass. Very sophisticated. And this is Peonies and Paloma suggested to us this drink.
Kate,
thanks,
we're trying your drink. She wrote in and said, hey, I've got a garden-inspired cocktail. This is a fresh cherry tomato martini. It's made with all the things that we were absolutely sure that we would hate, but we did it anyway because that's our dedication to our listeners. But Leslie's already screwed it up, but mine is perfect.
No, I strained it. I put it in this little cup. I chilled my glass.
Put it in the shaker.
I shook it before the recording. Get off my back, lady. It's all shaken.
It's lost its cold. Okay, never mind. Cheers.
No.
Should we taste it? Okay. Yeah. All right. Ready? Here we go.
Let's try to get along.
Just for this will help.
All right, I love it. And it even has olive oil in it. Not much, just a little dribble.
Oh, wow. I like that.
I like that too.
I did not expect to like that, Kate. I really did not. And
gin, vermouth, peppercorns, tomatoes, olive oil, and pepperoncini.
Pepperoncini brine, no less. And I've gone the extra mile. You see, Kate, if you're looking on YouTube, I've got the pepperoncini garnish with a little green cherry tomato. I thought that'd be fun. It's a muddled cherry tomato, and we have been waiting. I know that Kate sent this in like 2 months ago, but it wasn't cherry tomato time. It wasn't any tomato time, and we wanted fresh tomatoes for this. So cheers to that, Les. I think
Thanks, Kate. I would order this
and we'll put the recipe in the show notes as soon as I've gotten permission from Kate to do so, because she's been perfecting that cocktail for a while. You never know; she might want to go commercial. All right.
We have plants to discuss. Great foliage plants.
We do.
Do you want to start?
So we decided what we would do was one perennial that was a great foliage perennial, specifically in the summer when we're all needing a little bit of energy and a little bit of vibe. One tender or temperennial, something that's perennial in another zone other than ours, which is usually moving into a subtropical or a tropical zone for us. And we would do one shrubby plant and or shrub. And so I cheated a little bit, as my shrub is technically a perennial. It's Aurelia cordata Sun King. And I was on the fence on this one because I feel like we've talked about it before, but it's such a great plant. Because we're in love. Yeah. It's a fabulous plant for shade to part shade. It is a chartreuse color, and it is from Korea, Japan, East, Asia. Asia.
Most of the good plants are.
It's a lot of good. Oh, careful. See, I will stop you and say we have actually a lot of awesome plants, but there are a lot of good plants coming from Asia. It zones 3 to 9, so it's extremely versatile. And I did lose it the first 2 times I grew it. I lost it to voles and I lost it to drought. It is not drought tolerant. It's tolerant to a point. Once it's established, it's not going to probably die on you. But if it's not established, it's not going to be happy with you, and it could die on you. And I was telling a friend of mine about it, that I'd lost it and I wasn't going to grow it again. And he said, what, did you plant it upside down or something? So
that's a really good vote of confidence for your gardening abilities.
I'll try again. Yeah, I'll try again. So I did, and I love it. And I grow it in a lot of different places. It just brings a spark of light to shadier areas. You want to be careful you don't put it in too much sun, because it will burn. It'll get a little crispy if it's in really bright hot sun, but it can handle a good amount of sun. I've got it in places that it gets 6 hours or so, and it's doing really well. What's your take on that plant? Are you in agreement? You are, right?
Oh, I love it. And I don't think I ever grew it in that much sun, but I grew it in tons of shady spaces in my big old garden. Sometimes it did really well. And sometimes even in the same, size plant, the same care in a different part of the garden, it didn't do well. And I never figured that out. And then I moved away. But I just got a brand.
We're moving. The Aurelia's not working.
Then I found a cute little 1 gallon, or quart. I don't know, the tiniest Aurelia I've ever seen. They break dormancy sort of late, so I was taking a chance with my $10 bill, and I am loving it. It's in a perfect place on the side of the house, and I'm very happy to see it back in my world.
Breaking dormancy is actually really key to why this plant is so great, is that you can do all of your wonderful spring ephemerals at its feet. You
Mm-hmm.
can do so many bulbs and just have fun in the spring. And then it starts to come up. And for me, I would say, gosh, April? I'm
Yeah,
guessing
late.
beginning of April. Yeah, it's pretty late. And it's just pushing up with these sort of red, it's almost like a peony pushing up there and you go, "Oh, that's right. I've got a 5 by 5."
Yeah, that's a
Great
great
plant.
plant. Aurelia
Yeah.
cordata, Sun King. All right, so
Yes.
that's interesting because it is an herbaceous perennial, and yet it is the size of a shrub.
It
My
really
herbaceous,
is.
it really is. My herbaceous perennial is Astilbe chocolate Shogun, and besides the fabulous name, how can you beat this? I mean, Shogun. Okay, so we have a little Japanese influence. Astilbe is from Asia, and then it's chocolate. Oh my God, it's made of chocolate. It's a bronze purple foliage, and it is one of the best behaved astilbes, besides the really cool fact that it has this bronze foliage with this soft pink flower. And then it doesn't do what my other astilbes do, which is about this time of year in July and August say, if you don't water me every day, I'm going to look like this crispy mess. And it just doesn't. I mean, it looks fabulous. I have it growing with lime green because there's my repetitive thing in the bowling alley and around the corner where I put together really dark foliage with lime green, and it's with some unnamed, because who doesn't label their plants and keep track of these things? Me. A lime green hosta. It's also with some white variegated caladium and a little carex, which is also white variegated. And it looks fabulous, even though it did its thing, back in May. I am so excited about this plant. So this is an Astilbe chocolate Shogun, some of the specs on it in case you want to know. So it's about 2 by 2 before flowers. It'll get to 3 feet tall. Zones 3 to 7. Deer don't really love Astilbe. Bunnies don't either. It can take a bit of sun, but it loves shade. Astilbe chocolate Shogun for the win. Okay, what's
Yeah,
next?
and I will testify to the fact that it does look terrific in Leslie's garden, because I was just at Leslie's garden and it looked terrific, and it's not a cultivar that I grow. So I'm glad to have a new one for the master list, for the master fall planting list.
I might have to give you a division. Oh, wait, maybe I can't because it's patented. By the way, I think that there's always an added bonus with a plant that I do not have to think to remember what it is. Chocolate Shogun? I'm going to
Yeah, that's
remember
an
that.
easy one. Yeah, that's a great name. Great name. Okay, so my next one is the funnest one ever to say. You can say variegated Solomon seal, but I'd far rather say Polygonatum, odoratum, variegatum, Mr. Robotum. Basically, I love the way that is. So this is a Solomon seal. This is such a fantastic plant. It's one of those that you go to the nursery and you think, "Ooh, that's a little dear. That's a little expensive, and it's a little slow to start." And then it gets going, and you pull it apart because it has these long, fleshy rhizomes. You divide it and keep moving it, and it starts dividing. And by the time 3 or 4 years have gone by, you've got a thick mass that you're pulling out and giving to friends and wondering why it's so expensive at the nurseries. But the
I think
great
because it
thing,
is slow growing, but it's easy growing.
yeah, it's very easy growing. Here's the reasons I love this plant. Besides the fact that it's very beautiful, it is a full 3 season perennial. It's very, very early in the spring, and it has a wonderful emergence as it's coming up, just like asparagus, especially if you have a large mat of it. It is a beautiful foliage of that deep, oh, it's an ovate leaf, large ovate leaf with creamy marginations and creamy um, slashes through it. Come on, Marianne, where's your vocab? Creamy striations. There we go. We
Okay,
got
very
it in
good.
the end.
Very good.
Striations. It's got little tiny bell flowers all along those leaf axils that hang down. But that's really not why we grow. We don't grow it for the flowers at all, but that's a bonus. So if it's on the top of a wall and looking down at you, it's really cool. And then it just gets on with life through the summer. And it's green, it's lush, it's very, very drought resistant. And then in the fall, it goes bright yellow.
so bright that you're like sitting and having a cup of coffee and you're like, what is that?
What did I
What is that? It's bright yellow. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's also got a pretty large range, zones 3 to 8. It's tremendous with things like autumn fern, brunera, fabulous with that in the spring. It's just a plant that works so well, and in this, in the hot heat that we've got right now, it's looking pretty darn good. A caveat, if you want to divide this and you want to keep moving it around, and you should do that as early in the spring as you can. The second you see it emerging, or before that, if you know where it is, that's when you want to divide it, because once you've divided it and you've moved it, you're not going to get any new foliage. Whatever is sticking up out of the ground, that's what you've got till the end of the year. It's moving its roots around and trying to get those rhizomes formed, and it's not putting anything more into foliage. So
And it's a frustrating bit of a puzzle if you have this long strand and this tiny little rhizome that you're trying to make stay put. What I've done is just like, okay, you're not going to look good for me, but I'm going to plant you properly. I'm going to cut off half of it, leave a few leaves, to collect some chlorophyll to feed the roots, and just realize that next spring is when it's going to do its thing. Because planting them in late season, they just want to tip over. And so you get frustrated. Oh,
yeah.
one other question. So I realized with the odoratum, because we're going to be talking about botanical names in one more sip, I'm like, I didn't know that Polygonatum smells good. And I guess you have to get on your hands and knees and figure that out and get down there. But did you know?
I have never gotten down on my hands and knees to do anything other than dig it up. I don't ever try and sniff the leaves, sniff the flowers. So I don't
So
know.
we got to try
But
that next spring.
yeah, but it doesn't just have to be about those flowers. It could be the smell of the leaf when it's crushed, but I doubt it, because I have crushed a lot of those leaves and I've never
Mobot said
never
the
smelled
flowers.
them. So.
I jumped on Mobot right away. Missouri
Oh,
Botanical Database is where we get a lot of our information, and we strongly recommend. And so I'm like, odoratum, what's going on here? I jumped on Mobot for that plant, and they said the little bell flowers do have a lovely scent. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to figure that out next spring.
yeah. They are also very attractive to pollinating insects and bees who will get up in them, which is very interesting to see. And they're holding that pollen and away from the rain. They're holding the nectar away from the rain. So I can see why they would be very attractive.
Very attractive.
Yeah. So what's your next one?
And this one is we would call it an annual because it's a perennial. It's actually a shrub. It's a woody shrub in Australia, zones 10 and 11. And it is Plectranthus argentatus. And it's a wonderful silver foliage plant. Deer bunnies, they're like, no, thank you. Easy to have as a house plant, really, really easy to layer. I would say that most gardeners would jump first to this is going to be a fabulous spiller coming out of my container. Did you spill your drink?
I just spilled my tomato martini on my lovely trousers, so
Oh dear.
which make me smell like a boozer now. So
yeah, 2 ounces of gin. So I love this plant because it saved my bacon last summer when I'm in this new little garden. I go buy a bunch of plants, but I'm sort of waiting to see what kind of soil I have, and I don't want to waste a lot of money. So I just layered it and relayered it like you would a sweet potato vine. Impossible to do at this property because we have a healthy population of those GD bunnies. FFS. And they love that plant, but they do not love Plectranthus. And so it literally I had it weaving between my tiny and new perennials in the front, and it really helped out. Then I was able to keep a couple of hunks over the winter, easy enough to do because guess what? I'm not really very good at that. It could do as a house plant. I just stuck it in the garage. So we're talking, it'll get into the 30s and 40s, very low light through those skinny little transom windows in a garage that hit it for 10 minutes every morning. I don't know, even that. And it lived enough to get me a cute little house plant this summer. Plus a little layering duty. So it's going to fill a couple empty spots as we go into fall. I've already got a few pieces coming. And I just wanted to mention our mutual friend, Gina Sullenberger, who is a listener. Marianne and I were touring her fabulous garden, which is just north of me, here in Charlottesville. And she had this really cool Plectranthus in a very cool pot also. That always helps, doesn't it?
it does.
And it was one called guacamole that I want to recommend to everybody. It is a proven winners, and it is indeed light green like guacamole with green splotches. There's your cilantro and little purple bits. Maybe that's a
little
dark
yellow as well.
chopped. Well, I think that lime green
Like
is,
a yellow lime green. Yeah, it's a pretty
yeah.
cool plant.
But the little purple
Well
blotches,
named, well named, proven
yes.
winners, well named.
But wait, let me make my final point about the guacamole. The little purple parts are like the little tiny cherry tomatoes that you chose that were purple that you put in your guacamole. Okay, maybe it wasn't as clever as I thought. Anyway, it's a great plant.
Moving swiftly on, it is a great plant, and the other thing I wanted to say about that Plectranthus or any Plectranthus, but I've just done it with that particular silver shield or what it's not silver shield, it's just Argentus or Argentius, is that right?
Argentatus.
Argentatus, is that it also does very, very well for tip cutting. So if you come across one in a nursery like I just did about a month ago, that's really overgrown and pot bound and all that, instead of cutting it back and then planting it, cut it back, but take those tips and just put them into soft soil at this time of year.
I thought you were
And it is,
suggesting something highly illegal, which is when no one's looking, just break
oh,
those tips off as you're
no, no,
passing the
no, no,
plant
no,
by,
no, no,
put
no,
them
no.
in your handbag, and you will have new plants.
Not cool. Not cool. Now, I know that I confessed to a criminal act last week or the week before.
You hits on
Um,
the old social media, that one.
it was, yeah. And that was when I had already bought my own, but this one I thought was, oh, go back and listen to the
Yeah, yeah,
episode.
yeah.
But I mean, there is a major strict rule in my life that is you don't take plants from nurseries. That's
Oh
not
God, no.
cool. They're
Oh God, no.
making their living from these plants, and it's just not cool. So yada yada yada. Should we move on to
Yeah.
the
What's your next plant?
next one? My third and final is one of my favorite foliage plants, and that is Canna Bengal tiger, also known as Canna pretoria. Canna is a New World sort of tropical, subtropical plant, and we can use it as far north as Zone 7. But I am technically in Zone 7, but I'm not really. I'm sort of 6B. So it doesn't really make it through the winter for me. I've never had Pretoria or Bengal tiger get through. But it is easily diggable and you can bring it in. And we'll talk about that actually in a one more sip coming up in the fall, just before it all happens. But Canna pretoria or Bengal tiger, let me say Bengal tiger because that's really the established name at this point, or striatus, is yellow with green striations and a very strong yellow as well. It's a really good variegation. It's going to really pick up on your oranges. It's just going to shout out your greens. It doesn't even need to bloom, honestly, when you use it well. And it has great blooms as well. It's got orange blooms, which are, in the right place, they're fantastic. You can have some problems with leaf roller if you're in the south. That can happen where you've got little dots on it. Little, the leaves unroll, and then you've got this sort of horizontal line of dots where it's been chewed, and that can be a problem here and there. Japanese beetles will love to chew on it when they start to emerge. But the great thing about this plant is that if you give it enough water and fertilize it throughout the season, or put a granular on it, then you've got a plant that's going to stand up to the heat. And if you cut back some of those leaves, it's going to send up new shoots from the bottom. It's never going to resprout from where you've cut it back. That shoot is now, that pseudostem or shoot, whatever you want to call it, is now going, but it's going to stay static. It's not going to grow anymore, but it's going to stay static. And if you can hide those cuts with the leaves pretty well, and then it will come up and just keep pushing and keep pushing. If you are lucky enough to be in Zone 8 with this plant, don't have to dig it up every year, then you're lucky. You're a lucky person.
So I think what I'll do with the hunk that you gave me a very healthy hunk.
Because I'm generous.
Generous, so always so generous with me. It is now in a container. I think I'll take that container in, but I think I'll do a bit of surgery. Maybe I'll do this next year when it's a bigger piece. Anyway, I think I'll try to grow it over keep it over winter in the ground in the bowling alley and see
Yeah,
what
you
gives.
absolutely should. An
Okay.
insurance division, which is how I've done a lot of the different plants that I work with to see how hardy they are for me. Little insurance division, the way that you're going to be caring for them during the winter, and then the other one stays outside. Here, if it got through the winter, the voles would eat it. They'd be like, "Oh, look at this. You gave me some mulch for a home, and you gave me something to eat. This gal is amazing."
Generous as always.
FFS. Okay, so all righty, so that's
My last
our
one.
3. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. I thought it was all about me,
What
me, me, me,
am I?
me.
Chopped liver?
Okay, chopped
Okay.
liver.
This is one of my favorite shrubs, and Marianne was surprised with my choice because it is zones 2 through 8, and I am now,
Oh,
well,
yeah, I
I
was
think,
crazy surprised with this one. I tried to talk her out of it,
yeah,
actually.
before I showed it to her, she's visiting. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
I'm
then
gonna take.
I had to, yeah.
So it's the Cornus elegantissima. So it's not our native Cornus sericea. Red twig dogwood is what we're talking about. It is, and that is a great native. My only complaint with the Cornus sericea is that in summer, as so many things, it becomes, unlike our great variegated plants, it becomes kind of a green blob. Whereas the Alba elegantissima, and by the way, there's a little bit of question as to whether some people call it the Cornus alba auro marginata. Okay, so
Mhm.
it's accepted as both. I just like elegantissima because that's how I feel when I look at it, and I have placed it on one of my front retaining wall sort of situations next to what I hope is a limelight hydrangea. I have a sneaking suspicion it's a little lime because I thought I live in a tiny house. I can't buy anything big. The Cornus has this fabulous red, these are red twig dogwoods. So in winter, it's going to look really cool for me as just sitting there with red twigs. But in summer, it's got these fabulous creamy and a nice medium green variegation. And I think the two of them look really good next to each other. I would like for you to explain to the listeners why you doubted me yet again.
Yeah, I did doubt you, and I'm not growing it again. I'm done. I mean,
My
yeah.
polemonium. Jeez.
Polymonium is behind the curtain. Um, because it's been my experience that it starts to melt out. Melt is the wrong word. It just sort of in
How
our
dramatic.
climate and our humidity. I've grown it twice now, and both times it just sort of blah. And at the same time, I've got Flavarimaria and the Sericea, and that's growing really, really well and really, really strongly. And I talked to some friends who also have had that happen. And I'm looking at the zones and I see, zones 2 to 8 tells me, oh, you like the cold, you like the cool. And so I'm really surprised in Charlottesville, where you're further south than I am, that you're doing well with it. But the proof's in the pudding, and I saw it with
I
my own
know.
eyes. So unless you planted it yesterday and you're just trying to pull one over on
No, and
me.
here's the thing. As soon as I sold my gardening business, I made myself a promise to never buy or plant or dig a hole for anything bigger than a 3-gallon plant. So that's what I bought it at, and I have lived here slightly less than 2 years. So
So
it
it's
is
still
doing
doing
very
okay.
well. Yeah. So Marianne and I are up in the back, and we're thinking, we're planning for this episode. And I said, "This is what I'm going to do." And she goes, "Oh no, that's a terrible plant. Don't do that." And I'm like, "Come with me, lady."
Don't do that. Oh, I'll show you. Yeah,
That's
so it
right.
just goes to show where you live, where you live, how the kind of soil that you have, different aspects of your weather. It can all have a big effect. And like me with the Aurelia cordata, Sun King, that third time is not only going to be the charm, but it's going to be you going to the finish line. I grow probably and I hate to say, probably about 10 of those plants now in different
Wow.
places in my garden. I mean, I've got a very big garden, so
Yes. Yes.
it's fabulous plant. So try it. If you haven't killed it 3 times, right?
And
You can't really
polymoniums. I'm
say
like,
ixnay. And actually, I've only killed that cornus twice, so I suppose by rights I'm hoisted by my own petard
how
and need
Shakespearean.
to.
Oh, by the way, just a
Yeah.
quick, I know, we're not talking about maintenance, but just in case red twig or yellow twig dogwoods are new to you, just be aware that when you go to prune it, if you want to keep it smaller, and I will need to, it can get 10 by 10. We're not doing that here. Always take away your older stems because the younger ones are the one that have the fabulous color that you want for winter.
That's
Great.
right, and try not to prune it in the late spring because it's going to bleed and it's going to try and bleed to death and it's going to be guilt. So go back to that episode wherever that was, and
We'll
somewhere in
have
the
to,
spring where I almost killed mine. I was sure I didn't, but man, it was tough to watch. Let me tell you.
lots of blood. So much blood.
Yeah,
All
so
right, so
much
we
blood.
did it. Oh, except for the seventh listener pick.
Yeah, so on our Substack chat, and if you're on Substack and you get our show notes, our notes, links, and laughs, you can also be a part of the Garden Mixer chat. You can read it and the questions that we're asking and what people are saying on there. And if you're a paid subscriber, you can add and comment in there. So we asked listeners what would be your favorite summer foliage picks, and then we got to look at those and pick through them, and between the two of us we settled on
Regersea. We love us a Regersea.
Regersea. Yes, love us a
Regersea.
Regersea. Yeah, we
Regersea.
didn't Regersea, and we didn't actually pick out a specific species. It was just Regersea. I don't know of a Regersea I don't like. I grow 3 different Regersea here, and probably that's as many as I've ever grown. I grow Rotlob, which is podophyllum, and I grow a pinnata, which is Rotlob is a very large leaf Regersea, and Rotlob means red leaf in Dutch, I believe. Am I right on that, or is it
Sounds
German?
like it. I have no idea, but
It does have a very, it emerges very bronze. A lot of Regersias do. But here's the cool thing with this plant is that right now it's actually starting to turn where parts of it are really red, really proper red, and it will get redder as the season draws on. Caveat with Regersea, it likes the moisture. It likes a bit of moisture. So it is a summer foliage plant if A, you're giving it enough moisture, and B, you're not putting it in the baking sun,
yeah.
right? Wouldn't
Yeah.
you say?
So I have good news, bad news for my personal experience with this plant. And I can't remember if you gave me a hunk. Probably not. I think it's long enough ago so that it was my own that I purchased. And I
Mm-hmm.
had a stream running through my last big garden over in town. And I thought, well, it was very cool to experiment with pieces of plants that you knew wanted wet, but how wet? And I put it pretty close, and so that the roots could reach down for the watery bits if they wanted to. And wow, did it look fabulous poking out amidst a couple of very large rocks at the side of the stream. It was happy. It made me happy. And then I moved away. Well, I dug down and took a couple of hunks of whatever it was, and it was one of the redder ones. So what are you saying that is?
A Rotlob, podophyllum.
Okay,
Maybe.
maybe.
Maybe. It could, I
Yeah.
mean, there could be others as well.
Yeah.
There's some that stay very bronzy or orangey.
Because it's me, it's a Regersea, or Regersea,
Okay.
as you say, and we
Yeah.
don't know exactly what we're talking about. But I did bring 2 hunks, one of which may or may not still be alive, but it's certainly had enough of me for this summer. The other, which is just barely hanging on. So I have this very tiny garden, and it's probably too much sun. It does have very thick clay soil. So once we get rain, and we have had rain, it is going to be moist soil. This one is saying, "Oh, can I just sort of hide under under this elephant ear because you put me in the wrong place?" So I need to do that better, but I have done it well, and I love that plant. And you do it well now, right?
And it is a very early emerger. Again, sometimes too early, depending on if you've got it in a place south facing, let's say, but with like for me, it's in a south facing spot that gets a fair amount of shade, but it gets enough south facing sun because I'm in this valley and there's trees involved, folks. So it gets enough sun and it warms up the soil enough that it starts to emerge a little too early, and so often it's cut back by frost. It will be blackened by frost if a good freeze, but it will come back. It will come back. But I have found as I fiddle with my earpiece here, let me go. I really hate these
Where's our
earpieces.
staff when we need them?
I don't know. I need a little staff that does this and then mops my brow. Um, I have found that the years where it has not been cut down by frost, that's when I get the most red. It's almost like it had that little bit of extra time because we didn't have a freeze that cut it down. It's pretty amazing when you get a real clump of it you think, how am I going to get a shovel through there
Yeah.
to divide it? And it's
Yeah.
going to need some division in years to go. So thank you to Susan Risky for that. I think I'm hoping Risky or Risky. Thank you so much, Susan. And to all of the other listeners who sent in their choices for great summer foliage. But remember, a little bit of moisture, a little bit of shade, it's going to make you a happy Rejoicea parent. And what is that? Rogers flower, or because it does bloom. We do have bloom in the
Oh, yeah.
late spring with these big sort of frothy blooms, but it's really about the foliage.
Oh, yeah. That's a great foliage plant. So we've done our 7 great foliage plants. I think we did very well. Damn, I wish I had planted that. Is still coming up. So hang on for 2 ticks, everybody. Just a reminder that you can get the show notes on Substack, and you can also have access to that thing we keep referring to called One More Sip of the Garden Mixer if you sign up to be a supporter of ours on Substack. What else? Other socials.
Oh, well, you know what? You can subscribe for free on YouTube, and that's a lot of fun there. So you can see us in our various amounts of cocktails all over us. And
I
can't say I dressed up today.
That I finished this one up, and now
Yeah,
I
so
have
you weren't lying. You really did like it.
I did like it, and I was thirsty, and now I have a Rainier lager. Cheers.
Wow, straight onto the beer.
Mhm.
Goodness. Again, hashtag Betty Ford. So the other thing I want to say, and I keep meaning to want to say, is we have a website. So if you want to know a little bit more about the show, why we came up with it, how we came up with it, who the hell we are, why we think we can be talking about this, what our background
Using
is, what our gardens
your
look like.
valuable time that you'll never get back.
You'll never get this hour back, baby. Then you go to thegardenmixer.com, and that's what it's there for, is to answer your questions on that. And it also can take you to all the different places where you can listen to it or subscribe for the notes. You're not going to find the show notes on the website. That is a bridge too far, my friends. That is for our little Jane or Joe when they come along, when we've saved all our pennies and we present them to
Do
our
some
little
work for
assistants.
us. Here, put this here.
Please make this easier so we can be better and better and better. So yes, go to the website, thegardenmixer.com. And if you don't want to send comments through Substack and aren't subscribed there, and you're going to miss out on those notes, you can always send any comments, questions, smart aleck comments, smart assed comments to comments at thegardenmixer.com.
So those are our pleas. Oh, one more. If you could rate us or review us on podcasts, that would be lovely. But moving on to more horticulture.
Enough begging. It's just so undignified.
We've tormented you enough. We're going to give you more information now. We have 2 more plants because in this section, we talk about plants that you might see in your neighborhood or you saw in your neighborhood, and you're like, damn, I wish I had planted that.
And what is it?
Well, in my case, it is not only so fun to plant, but it's so easy to plant. It's basically like a Jack and the Beanstalk vine. It is the hyacinth bean vine, awesome botanical name, lab puria, it is, it's native to Africa. Purpurea is the correct adjective because we have purple sort of leaves. We have literally a purple vine. We have sort of pea-like, pinky purple, lilac, white, maybe flowers. And this thing will have its flowers go into these seed pods that you can present to any friend. Like forget bringing them cocktail napkins when you go for dinner. Just bring them, I don't know, maybe put a little raffia or attractive. Here, have these beans. I brought you magic beans.
I wanted wine, damn it.
They are actually edible. Did you know this?
Oh, you know, I didn't actually. It's not why wouldn't they be, but you know, they should be.
Well, here's why wouldn't they be. They actually contain cyanogenic leucicides, which can be harmful if you don't prepare it correctly. So I'm just saying that as an aside, that if you were to Google this plant, lab purpurea, it might say edible uses. I was like, what? And when I went to look, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to recommend that you do that. There's so many food that you can buy in a supermarket, Oreos, etc., that you don't have to worry about toxins.
I know, because we're so used to calling vegetables by their common name, which is totally cool. Aren't beans the genus? Isn't it lab, or is it not? Are they completely different?
And you're
You don't
asking the
know. Okay, clear up
yeah,
corner
clear up
next
corner,
time.
baby,
We'll have to
coming at
figure
you.
out.
But
Which doesn't mean necessarily that every species in a specific genus is edible just because it's that. So don't ever think that. So completely forget about me saying, why wouldn't it be edible? I put everything in my
because you
mouth,
could die.
said the actress to the bishop. All right, so
What?
moving on.
Wait. I have two more things to say about this. It's just so fun to collect the beans and maybe or maybe not give them to friends. Certainly keep them for yourself in an envelope in your garage over the winter. And then, but label them because you're like, whoa, what is this? And then in the spring, you simply push them into the ground with your thumb wherever you might want a vine. And some take, some don't, but it's always fabulous. I have them growing in full on sun where they prosper and multiply and grow to maybe that advertised 20 feet. I have them growing in shade where we were sitting the other day. And they look great, but they also, not nearly as great as the ones in full sun, but they also push out a couple flowers. So glory be.
But they're terrific for a chain link fence. If you've got one of those chain link fences that you're not really sure what to do about, but it's holding in the kids and the animals, a little bit of lab, baby.
Yeah.
Can at least take care of it in the spring and summer.
Annual vines like that, which are so exuberant, are fabulous things to use when you haven't thought of, well, I know I want to cover this up, but I'm not quite sure what I want to plant there. Just get an annual vine and your problem is solved until next year when you say, I know I want to cover this up.
That's right. And then you can take those beans and you put them in little gauze bags, and then you've got something fun to give to friends in the spring, and they'll think you're just a gardening goddess or god. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So what's yours?
Okay, so can I just say real quick, Leslie, that I keep going to pick this up and thinking that it's a rum punch. And if you're on YouTube, you can see why. Because, well, it's in a martini glass.
I mean, it looks like our logo almost.
It looks like a rum punch I was drinking only yesterday. And so I put it to my lips, get the smell of the peppercini, and go, this ain't no rum punch.
And not
and then
sweet.
And then I go, oh yeah, I do like this.
Yeah.
But my brain's all over the map with this drink. But I think I would definitely make it again. I definitely would.
Listeners who have fabulous recipes. I mean, that was kind of fun. I have never muddled, and I had no confidence actually in muddling peppercorns. I'm like, I'm not strong enough to make this thing mush. I'm pushing
your
my
muscle
muddler.
Training.
I'm so strong. But I when she said double strain it, I'm serious. I definitely did that. I don't want to choke on a peppercorn.
But, listeners, when you do it, make sure that you always keep it in here and don't dilute the cold with whatever Leslie was doing. Try and do it properly is all I'm saying. All right, on to red Abyssinian banana. She tries to murder me with her eyes.
She was here yesterday. I could have punched her then.
You could have punched me. No, because she was giving me a great gin and tonic. One of the best I've had. It was very, very good. Maybe I was just very thirsty. I'm going to do the red Abyssinian banana. And I feel again like I'm almost phoning this in, but I think it's a really important plant to do because everybody wants to know what the hell it is. People want to grow it. When non-gardeners come to my garden, they say, what is that? Is that a banana? It's far more striking than your just normal bananas that are musa. This is Enseti ventricosum morellii, the red Abyssinian banana. It comes from East Africa, Abyssinia area, and sort of the Horn. What is that? It's like the Horn, right?
It's the Horn of Africa?
The Horn.
Djibouti is in the Horn of Africa. That's spelled DJ. Never mind. My son was there once with the Marine Corps. I'm like, where are you? And he told me, I'm like, how do you spell that? So I know that it starts with a D and a J.
Yeah, and it's actually used as a food crop, a starch crop. The Ethiopians use it a lot. It does have little fruits, but it's not that about that fruit the way that we use bananas or even smaller bananas. It's about that pseudostem and the starch that comes out of that, and that's used a ton. But it's a very beautiful plant. It's red. It has massive leaves that can be 4, 5, 6 feet long in terms of just the leaf. That doesn't even include what would be the petiole of the. Is it a petiole if it's coming off a pseudostem? I don't know.
Where's your little plastic chart?
It's behind me and I'd have to unplug. So we won't do that. I don't think they have bananas on there anyway. But it is very, very easy. I overwinter them in the basement every year until they get too big. And then I say, bye-bye. And too big to me is probably about 10 to 12 feet. and once all the leaves are cut off, and then it's getting to be, it's pushing 100 pounds. So it's a terrific plant, loves rich soil, loves my hugelkultur, and does very, very well in that when it's sort of droughty conditions. This year, we are having a lot of rain, so it has never been happier. Sometimes I go 3 of them in a triangle. This year, I just have 1 in 2 different places. And yeah, it's a terrific plant. Try it. You'll be amazed at how quickly it will grow. You will start with an 18-incher that you got from your local nursery, and you'll have a 12-foot plant by the end of the season. They do not pup like Musa pup, because well, I don't know why, but they don't, unless you damage them. If you damage them, if you cut them low, then they will start to pup. I'm sorry, am I boring you, Leslie?
Yeah, you are.
The yawn was so obvious. I know it was, and it's a ubiquitous plant. Everybody grows it unless you don't. And then you want to know what it is, because damn, you wish you planted that. So there you go.
All right, we've done it. I would like to thank, hold on.
I would like to thank the Academy. I would like to thank De Niro, my co-star in this film. Yeah.
All right, y'all. So foliage plants for summer, and all 9 of these can take the heat. So go forth and redesign your garden.
Go forth and leaf up.
And leaf up. Exactly. And we will see you next time.